Welcome back to Pillah Sports, and today we are doing the transfer update. So I'm going to give you guys all the transfer news that has happened in the first day of the transfer window. The here we goes are dropping. Fabrizio Romano is getting really busy. The likes of Florian Plattenberg is getting busy. Of course, Dave Ornstein is active and is busy. And one thing is for sure, we are going to be giving you those big news, those breaking news, while we tell you why these news are absolutely good for which team who wins the trade or who gets a better player and who builds their team better. First things first, let's start with Pascal Gross. Pascal Gross has been confirmed that he's moved from Borussia Dortmund back to Brighton Hove Albion. Absolutely done. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano. So this is absolutely killer in this situation. Now, one thing is for sure. Pascal Gross is set to rejoin Brighton Hove Albion from Borussia Dortmund on a permanent transfer just months after leaving the Seagulls. A deal has been agreed between the club and the move is expected to be completed soon, with a medical scheduled in the next 24-48 hours. Brighton Hove Albion and Dortmund have reached an agreement on this transfer. Fabrizio Romano specifically reports that the move is imminent and a medical to follow. Of course, Sky Sports comes on and says indicates of Brighton will pay around £2 million plus £1 million in a potential add-on for the experienced midfielder. The contest about this situation is that Gross originally moved from Brighton to Borussia Dortmund in August of 2024, a contract through June 2026, but has struggled with consistent minutes this season, prompting the surprise return to the Premier League. Now, one thing is for sure, Pascal Gross is an amazing player, and one thing is absolutely clear: what he did for Brighton Hove Albion before moving to Borussia Dortmund was truly remarkable. Dude could be arguably said to be a legend for Brighton Hove Albion. He absolutely murked Manchester United at one time. I think it was this last Ten Hag was manager. The goals that he scored against Manchester United, the attacking prowess that he brings, the experience that he brings to Brighton's team that is full of young players. The likes of Ayari would absolutely love to work with Pascal Gross on how to fill in those roles. The likes of some young player that scored Brighton last game. Those guys will absolutely be elated to have somebody of that caliber to come back to Brighton. And then let's move into the next signings, because a lot of things have happened. These are, of course, ongoing transfer market narratives that we have seen in the week. What's keeping an eye on for sure? Premier League clubs are definitely active with January transfers before official opening. We have already seen Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Liverpool being certified for targets on situations like that. We're also seeing Fulham bid rejected for PSV striker Ricardo Pepe, covered around. We also heard that Neymar is signing a new deal with Santos, when we all predicted that he would be leaving Brazil and staying. Of course, we have also heard the early gossip of Barcelona looking at Dusan Vlahovic as a potential replacement for Robert Lewandowski. Of course, this is definitely still speculative, so do not take the word right now for that particular one. And then let's go into something that is more of a rumored, more of an explored, and more of a January transfer focus. We have seen Liverpool being linked to, I think that's his name if I'm not mistaken. Liverpool are reportedly close to signing Ecuadorian defender Joel Odonis from Club Brugge for around 35 to 43 million pounds. Chelsea have already reported dropped out of the race, because the truth about it is that Chelsea are just stockpiling players, and hopefully nobody goes to Chelsea Football Club anytime soon. And then you look at West Ham transfer activity. West Ham have agreed 17 million pounds deal with Portuguese striker Pablo, who is expected to undergo a medical soon. West Ham are also targeting Fulham's Adama Traore. A reunion under Nuno Espirito Santo could be on the cards. Who knows? And then we look at Celtic's transfer interest. Celtic risk missing out on winger after a 2.5 million bid from though they remain keen offensive additions such as Julian Araujo and potential young defenders. Of course, with that particular one, Celtic are definitely doing well now under the new manager. Hopefully they can get back, because I love to see a black man managing one of the top 5 teams. in Scotland. So let's definitely see that, and hopefully he can do a good job in order for him to win that league. Newcastle could sell William Osula. That is absolutely shocking to me, because Newcastle are reportedly open to selling the striker William Osula to Eintracht Frankfurt after limited game time and injury setbacks for the striker. Of course, that is also crazy because Osula had one of the brilliant first kind of announcements to the Premier League. I am here at the start of the season. All of a sudden, he's ready to be sold. I don't know why Newcastle are doing that. Maybe because Wissa is back into the team. We'll see. And then we go to the major transfer moves or near deals that are happening right away. Of course, we know Anton Semenyo. Anton Semenyo is close to joining Manchester City. This deal is almost done at this point. January transfer window opens tomorrow. I think it's today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it opens tomorrow. It opens on Thursday, January 1st, and then you will see movement of Anton Semenyo to Manchester City. Of course, Semenyo is widely expected to join Manchester City SAP. Bournemouth are prepared to sell, and the personal terms are agreed, with a fee of 60 to 65 million pounds being reported. And then we go into the next one, because Crystal Palace are not going to sleep on their laurels, especially because manager has refused to sign a new deal. And in this situation, Crystal Palace have reached an agreement with Tottenham Hotspur for winger Brennan Johnson. Guess what? Brennan Johnson was Tottenham's top goal scorer last season. All of a sudden, he can't find a game to play for Tottenham Hotspur anymore. The guy that scored against Manchester United to give Tottenham Hotspur their one and only trophy in this decade, in this century, in this modern era. And he is getting shipped out of the club in January. A club record fee, and Palace are preparing for his medical. So that's definitely good for Tottenham Hotspur. Hopefully they can use that money and go get a striker. Hopefully they can use that money and go get somebody that will do the things that Thomas the Frank engine wants to do at Tottenham Hotspur. And then you see Justin Reynolds moves in to the MLS. Sporting Kansas City signed defender Justin Reynolds from Chicago Fire in an MLS deal involving allocation of money and draft compensation. Now, I'm always going to find a way to start learning more about the MLS, because draft compensation is definitely new to us when it comes to people that have watched football and focused on the European side of the game. However, one thing is for sure, in the US, they have things called drafts, especially drafts from college. They play the D1 football, and then you get drafted on draft night. Same thing that they do in basketball, same thing that they do in every sport when it comes to American football. They are also doing it in soccer and in the MLS. So negotiations and deals with money and draft compensation is something that they definitely do in America. However, they do not do that in the weird terms that we see it over in Europe. It's more of like we get the money and then you get the player situation. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. Those are the transfer news of this week. It's kind of a roundup for me for right now. So make sure you guys have a lovely one. It's the New Year's Eve. Make sure you guys have a lovely day and Happy New Year. I'll see you guys in 2026. Peace.